Joe Biden attempted to inject a little levity. As NPR's Don Gagné reports, the former vice president later acknowledged the women's concerns, but stopped short of apologizing.
At a speech before a union group in D.C., Biden first addressed the controversy with a joke. The union president embraced him as he took the stage, prompting Biden to tell the audience he had permission for the hug. Afterward, Biden spoke with reporters and explained he wasn't making light of anyone's discomfort. Asked if he still owed those who've complained a direct apology, Biden said he's sorry he didn't understand he'd made people uncomfortable. Then added,
I'm not sorry for any of my intentions. I'm not sorry for anything that I have ever done. I've never been disrespectful intentionally to a man or a woman.
Biden is still not officially a candidate for 2020, saying an announcement is coming very soon. Don Gagné, NPR News, Washington.
Biden may have energized the crowd of union electricians, but President Trump predicts via Twitter today that come 2020, those workers will be in his corner. This hour, though, the president is in California near the southern border talking tighter immigration. Heading up a roundtable discussion in Calexico, Trump's attempting to drum up support for an emergency declaration and a border wall.
I want to state that there is indeed an emergency on our southern border. It's been loud and clear. We're in court, and a lot of people aren't even bringing too many of the suits anymore. A lot of people are going to bring a suit. It's pretty hard for them to say there's not an emergency. We have a big emergency at our southern border.
California and 19 additional states are challenging the declaration in court, calling the diversion of government funds toward a border wall an unconstitutional use of taxpayer money. U.S. employers added 196,000 jobs last month. NPR's Scott Horsley reports a monthly snapshot from the Labor Department shows the economy is still growing, although not as fast as it was last year.
The March jobs report offers a healthy dose of reassurance after a lackluster showing the month before. Revised figures show employers added just 33,000 jobs in February, but Chief Economist Nariman Behravesh of IHS Markit says the overall labor market is much stronger than that figure would suggest.
That number in February was a fluke. It was very weak, and it wasn't representative of the underlying momentum of the U.S. economy, which is slowing, but nowhere near that much.
An average of the last 3 months shows the U.S. adding about 180,000 jobs a month, down from 233,000 at the end of 2018. Unemployment is holding steady at a low 3.8%, while average wages have been rising, just over 3%. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
This is NPR. In a sign of easing tensions between two nuclear-armed rivals, Pakistan reportedly plans to release 360 Indian prisoners this month. The Foreign Office is quoted saying the inmates will be released in 4 groups beginning early next week. Tensions between the Pakistani and Indian governments escalated in February when a suicide car bombing by Pakistan-based militants in the disputed territory of Kashmir killed dozens of Indian paramilitary forces. Worries are mounting over the prospect of a renewed civil war in Libya after an army commander in the divided country ordered his forces to advance on the capital. We have the latest from NPR's Jane Araf.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has wound up a trip to Libya, saying he's deeply concerned over the military advance. That's after he met Army Commander Khalifa Haftar, who has ordered his forces to advance on the Libyan capital and its internationally recognized government. Haftar has run a parallel government in eastern Libya after seizing the city of Benghazi and recently oil fields in the south. There's been a power struggle in the North African country since Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi was overthrown and killed in 2011. The European Union has warned that security could spiral out of control as rival militias mobilize to try to ward off the advance by Haftar's forces. Jane Araf, NPR News, Cairo.
Before the close, the Nasdaq was up 46 points, more than 0.5%. S&P was up nearly 0.5%. Dow was up slightly. This is NPR.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Paraversal Universe, produced by WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. Also heard on the Rift Radio Network out of Lakeside, Virginia, WCET-FM and affiliates out of Columbia, South Carolina, and on Amelia Pisano Productions out of Toronto, Canada. We're your hosts, Kevin and Jennifer Malek. coming to you from the still melting tundra of northern Wisconsin, where the snow is forever melting, and maybe one of these days it will actually disappear. So, anyhow, yeah, so...
Is that a hint?
Right.
I'm dreaming of a white springtime.
Yeah.
No, we had that last year.
Yeah.
We had that last
you
year,
did.
and it snowed all the way until summer.
Yeah.
You can always enjoy excellent talk, fringe talk radio for awesome and informative radio shows about the paranormal, supernatural, esoteric, and Fortean topics on this network and affiliate platform networks and websites. Not only our show, but many other good shows about different facets of the unknown and unexplained. Much to listen to and much to enjoy. Stream live on TuneIn, iTunes, or the Paranormal Livestream app, available from Android app and the iTunes Store. This segment is brought to you by the Supernatural magazine, where our articles can be read. All right, back to Paraversal Universe. We are talking to renowned Iroquois shaman Jualt Christos, author of The Life of Christos book series and many other books. And so we were, when we left, we wanted to focus this break on the famous $1 Million Challenge, which you took him on. Yeah, can you share? Can you share the whole story?
He took me on. He took me on. The terms are that the two sides have to agree on what the test will be. So we took each other on. And I said to him that I had an ability to influence weather. And he said that wasn't very good. I'm not going to go into all the particulars. He's, I would say, an adversarial person. And I didn't necessarily expect that at the time because I thought that he was sincere. He had said that since 1964, he had offered a prize to anyone that could demonstrate a psychic or a paranormal ability. And I thought he wanted to find someone and just hadn't been able to do it. So he and I told him he could make, say, 5 requests of me, and we agreed that if I got, I think, 3 out of 5, that he would agree that I had displayed influence. So in the long run, he gave me 33 requests, and I think I missed 2. But there were 2 different tests. And the first test, which is in Book 2 of The Life of Christos, what we decided to do, the test was set up by the Palm Beach Post newspaper. And we decided that we would use the Miami Herald newspaper for its weather reports, but we would not tell the Miami Herald what was going on. So that way their weather reports would just be natural, normal, and okay, scientific, right?
Right.
And the Post said they would cover the test, win, lose, or draw. So I went into it knowing that if I failed, there would be like a big article about me being a fake or a fraud or not being able to do it. The way Randy described it was that all psychics are either frauds or deluded. If they don't believe in what they're doing, they're just fakes. They're criminal, they're trying to defraud the public, and it's his purpose is to protect the public from those fake, fraud, criminal psychics. Okay? But there are some who might actually believe that they can do something. And as far as Randy was concerned, those are simply like psychologically delusional.
Right, you're right. I mean, that's what he thought.
So,
or that's what he portrayed to think. It was his front.
That's correct. That's what he portrays, at least. I think that you mentioned that 3 people have passed his test. And I know that I passed his test. And I know that he knows that I passed his test. So when he goes out there and describes all psychics as either frauds or criminals, or deluded, I know that he knows better. And so I view what he does as a form of hate-mongering against psychics. And maybe there's some sort of an agenda for doing that, but...
maybe identifying the better psychics out there, perhaps.
Yeah, I think he might do that, too. It'd be like a hound dog, but I don't know for who. And that goes into your wild conspiracy theories, right? Or not yours, but into conspiracy theories.
So when you were...
At any rate...
go ahead.
I was just going to wrap up a long story short and say that in the first test, I believe he gave me 21 requests or something like that, and I got all of them. And I sent him a letter with the Miami Herald weather maps and their rainfall reports. What I think he did was he asked me for 3 days of dry, 3 days of rain, 3 days of dry, 3 days of rain, back and forth that way, right? And this was in South Florida, which normally has thunderstorms every day. The heat builds up. It creates moisture from Lake Okeechobee in the center of the state. The moisture rises, forms clouds. The clouds rain on everything, makes for good farmland and swamp, at least in the South Florida. And he picked West Palm Beach as our city. And so I sent him everything. And then I waited for his response. And then I waited some more. And I waited a little bit longer. I got in touch with the newspaper reporter. And she said that her editors had decided not to approve the story. And basically I was left somewhat hanging. And 2 friends of mine who had observed the test started badgering her, the reporter, and I was sending letters to Randy. And Randy and I had actually had another point of contact, which is he was brought up to Palm Beach, Florida, to speak to the Palm Beach Round Table, which was a group of influential or wealthy people. And one of my friends was in touch with the Round Table, and the Round Table was in touch with Randy. And then we started to get rain. And we started to get more rain. And we got enough rain that every lake and every canal was filled to the brim. And if we got any more, there would be flooding. And then Randy got back in touch with me. So I thank my allies for that one, too. But nothing harmful was done. That had been one of my requirements to him for his weather request, was that he couldn't request anything harmful. And then in the second test, which, I thought I had passed his first test without a doubt. And his response to me initially was, well, even though you failed the first test, I'd be willing to give you another, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it bummed me out because At that time, I was broke and